let's talk about coaching. Let's talk about being a coach and the expectations of being a coach. Hi, everybody. It's me, Natty Bumpercar, the Bumperpodcast. And I have been honored I was the coach of my kids' basketball team. And I had never played basketball, so that one was a little bit challenging. But I know enough about basketball that I could kind of, wing it a little bit. But then the opportunity came up to coach his soccer team. And I played soccer most of my life, from growing up until, I think, junior year of high school or so. And loved it. Loved it to pieces. And so when I found out they were looking for soccer coaches, I was like, yeah, sign me up, And it's funny because, the organization, I wasn't given any information. It was just like, sure, you're a coach. Show up. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And so I showed up the first day, and I got my team. They're the gray team, Gray Ghosts. Is what I call them. I was like, you guys are the Gray Ghosts. And they were like, okay. And then one kid was like, I want to be a Gray Goose. And I was like, fine. Whatever, that's great. And I had to learn all of their names. I made them stand in a line. And because I think it's important, right? That these are you want them to feel, like they're part of the team, like they belong, like they have their own identity, and so they went through their names, and whenever anyone would say their name, I would say, all right, everybody, say hello to Tom. There's no Tom, but I'm not going to give you the kids' names because that would be untoward. But, and so then they would all introduce themselves, and then we kind of found out, who was in third grade, who's in fourth grade, and do you go to this school? Do you go to that school? Just to kind of, establish who everyone was and try to build a tiny rapport in the time that I had. Now, the first week was bananas because we had 2 practices and 3 games within the span of 7 days. So it was like, hey, you're not playing soccer, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, guess what? You're doing soccer every single day of your life. And it was hard because the kids were getting very frustrated and tired, because they're running around, they're playing hard, and when it's almost every day, there's just no break, so they don't get a chance to kind of come back, relax, whatever. But the thing is it's great. It's great fun. And the reason, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it's a little bit raspy, is because I basically scream from the time the game has started, maybe even a little bit before, until the game is ended. And it's not because I'm angry. I am out there, and I really take a lot on. Like, I feel a real responsibility to get these kids to learn and to motivate them and to try to get them into spots where they can best, have the chance for success. And it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like, last night I was like, oh, this is like herding kittens, because that's always a fun phrase. I've always enjoyed that phrase, herding kittens. And I was like, when someone was like, why are you hurting kittens? And I'm like, no one's hurting kittens. I'm herding them. Hurting? Herding them. Well, what do you mean by that? Like, I'm trying to get a big herd of kittens through the valley into the pasture, the gated pasture, so they can I don't know, play with butterflies or whatever. So are the kittens being hurt then? No, we're going to play with butterflies. Relax. But because I'll be on the sideline and I'm like, I have to give them all their positions. Whoa, that was a weird thing that just happened. I'll give them all their positions, You're going to be my striker. You're going to be my stopper, which is what I call the middle defense person. You're my left fullback. You're my right fullback. Wait, which way is left, coach? This is your left, and so you're just gonna go back there to where I'm pointing. Where do I go, coach? Again, I want you to go back to that corner, right where I'm pointing. Why aren't you going? Hey, could you please just go? Yes. No, why are you coming off the field? Why are you coming off the field? I need you to go back to your spot. Coach, my shoe's untied. Get over here. Let's tie your shoe real quick. Like, it's a real constant flow of me trying to get them to stay focused on the game, get into their spots, and do what they're supposed to do, but also to try to learn and have fun. So it's a real balancing act that I'm going through. And it's also difficult because, there's some kids that are more advanced and they kind of want to take over the game, but this is a recreation league, and so this is a developmental league, and so I'm like, hey, let that kid take the kick, or let that kid take the throw in, because you are really good at it, but I need everybody to learn how to be good at it, because we're a team. So a couple of games ago we were playing. It was actually on a baseball field, and so part of it is dirt, like that baseball field dirt, whatever that stuff is, and then grass. And I'm looking down one end of the field where our offense has the ball, and they're gonna score. Oh wait, no, the ball's coming back our way, so I have to turn and I have to get my defense ready. And so I was just like, defense, and then I stopped because one of the kids was grabbing scoops of sand in his hand and dumping it making like a little funnel with his other hand, and then trying to catch it, the dirt, as it was coming through the funnel on the bottom. And he was doing this back and forth, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, focus, stand up. And then I looked at the other side of the field, and there was a kid picking grass off, and so there's a lot of me yelling, and the fun thing is when I'm yelling, what are you doing? Please stand up. Here comes the ball. It usually doesn't register until I've yelled the person's name 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And the difficult thing with that is that there are kids who are very competitive and who take the games very seriously, a lot more seriously than the grass pickers. Or we have kids who dance on the field, which is wonderful, but maybe not the exact right time. And the kids who are taking it a lot more seriously, they'll start yelling at their teammates, and I'm like, no. So then I have to pull them off, and I'm like, listen, I'm the coach. That's my job. I'll do the yelling. I need you to focus on playing the game. It's a lot. We had a game recently, and we didn't have enough for substitutions. We only had 8 people, and so we have our striker, and then our 3 mids, and then our 3 defense, and then our goalie, right? So everybody that I had was on the field playing, and the ball was, again, the offense had the ball. They're making a move on the other side of the field. They're gonna oh wait, here comes the ball. It's coming back. Quick, defense. And so this time it wasn't people picking grass and scooping dirt. My goalie was just sitting in the goal. Like, he was just, and so I yelled his name. I was like, hey, stand up. Hey. And I kept yelling his name. And for like 15 seconds, I'm screaming his name, and he finally looks over and he goes, my shoe's untied. And I was like, I don't care about your shoe. Like, I said, you're my goalie. The ball is right. Come on. And I'm just like screaming like this child to, listen, I'm a coach. These are kids. They're learning. They're far away from me. So I have to yell. But I think what's important is the context and how I'm yelling. I'm not saying like, you're a bad person because you're not doing what I'm asking. I'm just saying like, hey, I need you to listen, right? And I've really noticed as the season has gone on that it seems to motivate him. Now this child, I said, I don't care about your shoes. You're my goalie. I care about my goal. Right? Because I really wanted to impress upon him how much I was worried about the ball going in the goal. And so then I had to run around after the ball was back down the other side of the field. And I went and I was like, hey, are your shoes okay? Everything okay? He's like, yeah. And I was like, hey, I wasn't yelling at you. I just wanted you to stand up because you're my goalie. You're my goalie, And he was like, yeah, I know, coach, I know. And I was like, you're good, right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, okay, cool. And then later in the game, we had a different goalie. And he made a nice save. He stopped the ball from going into the net. Phenomenal. Yeah, good save. Nice save. I'm clapping, And then he's got the ball in his hand. And then he just starts throwing it up in the air. Like he was so happy that he was like, I'm going to just throw this ball up in the air. And I was like, stop throwing the ball. Like, you can't he's like just tossing with himself. Like, hey, I'm throwing the ball here. And after the game was when I finally got a chance to talk to him. I was like, hey, you did a great job at goal, but please don't ever, like, throw the ball up in the air like that again. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, think of it this way. It's raining out. It's wet. And just imagine. I said, and who knows? It might never happen, but maybe if it does. Just imagine that you're throwing the ball and it bounces off your hand. It slips, whatever happens, and it rolls into the goal. What would happen? He's like, oh, they would get a goal. And I was like, yeah. And how would that make you feel? And he's like, terrible. And I was like, yes. I'm trying to avoid you feeling terrible because I want everyone to be happy all the time. Because that's, we're not always going to have fun. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But I feel like it's my job as a coach to make it as enjoyable as possible so that if these kids want to move on with this, that they'll do it.
The Bumper Podcast is an oftentimes hilarious weekly romp with Natty Bumpercar and some of his pals. It is family-friendly, clean, and ridiculous. Thanks a bundle for listening. If you love our show and you'd like to help support the podcast, check out our Patreon page at https://www.patreon.com/Natty Bumpercar. Also, pretty please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with everyone everywhere, post about it on all of the social medias, or leave a rating and review. The Bumper Podcast is produced at headquarters in Coffee Can Alley. It's recorded, mixed, and produced by producer. The Bumper Podcast features contributions from Aloysius J. Pig, Rufus T. Rufus, Doodle Poodle, Robot, Trunks, and a gaggle of other silly rascals. Our head talker is probably Natty Bumpercar. We also have an absurd newsletter. Check it out and subscribe at nattybumpercar.com/subscribe. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Natty Bumpercar. Hugs and hearts. See you soon.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.